And to talk about India's projected growth numbers for the next 2 years that the IMF has put out, saying that India will be the fastest growing large economy over the next 2 years. I'm joined by Shubhamay Bhattacharjee. He's senior economic journalist. Shubhamay, thank you for joining us. Do we have Shubhamay? Can you put Shubhamay on the screen, please? All right, we have Shubhamay with us. Hi, Shubhamay. Good to see you. Shubhamay, while the projected global growth is pretty subdued, some countries facing stagnation, projected contraction even, what is it that is making India grow still?
One of the great things that has happened for India this year is the fact that we have been able to keep our domestic demand intact.
Okay.
A very major number at this stage is the GST number, which has been released yesterday. Now, the gross number is about 2.37 lakh crore. The net is about 2.08 lakh crore. What it does show is a remarkable ability of the economy to be able to keep itself growing. And this is coming from the domestic movement of the economy. And that, I think, is something that is essentially keeping the Indian economy on an even keel, despite all the disturbances in other parts of the world. Yeah.
Okay, Shubhamay, okay, there is some audio disturbance there. All right. Shubhamay, while the GST collection numbers look good, but what is driving it? Is it trade? Is it services? What is driving the GST collection or the domestic demand that you are talking about?
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, Shubhamay, can you hear me?
Will you repeat that question once again?
I said, while the GST collection numbers are impressive, but what is driving this domestic demand? Where are these GST collections coming from? Trade? What is driving the demand?
There is a combination of a lot of good factors. It's not happened over 1 year. One of the things that is to be understood is that India has been able to keep up its growth rate because of the sustained pace of reforms that has happened. And that has actually pushed the economy onto a real growth path. Now, as you look at India, the manufacturing sector has started to look better. If you look at the PMI data for this month, which is a very good indicator of where is the manufacturing sector going, you see that it's almost hitting 60. The services sector is also hitting somewhere near. Now, the data actually does show what? That the sustained movement of the economy over the last few years in terms of the reforms, that's one very major thing, and ease of doing business, that's the other major thing, that's very major part of the ease of part of the reform. The third part is that it has actually led to a stabilization of the economic movement in different parts of the economy. So when you see that what is happening in social, in many sectors, you see a fundamental stabilization of the economy, which is something which we can now feel comfortable about. In fact, that is what is drawing in investors on a consistent basis into the economy. Yeah.
Okay. Shubhamay, also, I mean, if you look at the whole economy, though manufacturing numbers are improving, agriculture is also growing, but at a much smaller pace. Services is what is mainly driving. But in the long run, services cannot, take the economies economies cannot survive just on services. So what sort of reform does, needs to be brought in, especially in agriculture?
Very important. In fact, if you look at our agriculture sector, a very important thing that happened is that last year, if you look at the GDP data, and I'm talking about 24-25, not 25, no, 23-24, the growth rate of the economy for agriculture was very high.
Okay.
On top of that, this year's estimated NSO data for agriculture is actually showing a very high number. So it just shows that despite the high base, agriculture is still showing even a higher growth. So that's something significant. And when you look at what's happening, what we expect for the monsoon, the long period data, that is also showing something very impressive number. So overall, I expect that the agriculture sector will keep on being a very buoyant part of the Indian economy. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Shubhamoy, we'll leave it there. That's all the time we have for. But thank you very much for joining us and giving us your perspective on the reasons behind the projected growth for India.